Somnambula and Violet Winds, A True Love by Swedish Diablo. Ever since Somnambula was returned from limbo after 1,000 years, she was feeling a bit out of the new society because everything has changed over a millennia. She actually returned home, but even there she didn't feel home anymore. Even though opponents there thought she was somehow someone pretend to be the true Somnambula, but she explained that she is the right one because she has been in a limbo for 1,000 years. At first the opponents there didn't believe, but since after the storms were disappeared and even Rockhoff returned to talk to her, even the Flash Magnus came, then all the opponents there believed. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel home anymore in her hometown. Even she tried to stay there to try to make up for her time lost. Ever since even she has been away for a millennia. All her old friends, family were all gone. Even she tried to stay there to feel home, but she couldn't feel home anymore. So she decided to leave her home and just travel around with her friends. But over time, she wanted to stay somewhere she can feel home. So when she came back to Ponyville with some of her friends, she stayed at Twilight's castle with her family, and then she met Violet Winds, a good friend of Twilight. She didn't notice it at first, but she thought that he was very handsome at least as a stallion. And he actually shared something that she really loved the most. Music. She has a great passion for music. And when she heard him playing his guitar in his room and hearing singing, she was hypnotized by his singing and the music. It was just so hypnotizing for her. She couldn't even notice at first. And every time she listened to music, she could feel her heart beating faster and faster. And she didn't know at first how to react. Because it felt so much love in her heart. For the first time in 1,000 years, she has been in love. Before all, she was captured in limbo for over so long time. She was actually in love with the prince in her hometown. But since she had to go away and fight with the pony of shadows, she never had the time or the chance to tell the prince how she felt for him. And now she thought maybe they would never have the chance to tell him. But at least she could be happy for once. But then, when she was going to tell Violet Winds about this, she could see him with another mare, talking and laughing, and she thought that he was stealing another pony. But Twilight told her that mare was actually a friend of theirs. It was actually Trixie. Trixie had been living near the castle, and they were just good friends, since Trixie has already been in someone else's life, and that was actually Starlight Glimmer. Trixie and Starlight has been dating themselves for about a couple of months. So Somnambula was very much surprised to hear that Violet Winds was just a friend with Trixie, and Twilight had asked why she used about it, and Somnambula then explained about her feelings for Violet Winds. And Twilight was just stunned. And she wonders would even ever work because the age differences. But then she realized Twilight has been together with Flash, and they only a few years between them. But then she also realized Discord is together with Fluttershy, and he is so about 1,000 years, so they are still much happy together. So she didn't think that wouldn't be any problem for Violet Winds, and if he dated Somnambula. So she said, "Go for it, tell him." And Violet Winds then is still at his room at the time. When he heard about this, he actually heard Twilight talking to Somnambula because they were in the hallway after that he came home after he was talking with Trixie. And he was not even ready for this as a surprise. But he said to Somnambula after she asked him and even told him that he's willing to give her a chance on a date. And she was surprised that he was actually asking her to date her. So they actually went to this new local restaurant nearby. And it was a great time for both of them. At first, Somnambula was a little bit feeling nervous and even afraid if this date would even be a great success or it was a failure. But it turned out to be a great success because they had so much in common. They all both loved music, and they all loved to dance, and they also loved to travel. And how much more could they even ask for them? And even then, Violet Winds even asked her if she'd like to maybe go out some more time. And she said yes. So the next time they went out, or about a few days later, when they took a picnic near in the park. And it was just a perfect day for both. And Twilight and her friends, they were just happy to see Somnambula was happy again. Even her friends, the old pillars, were all happy to see that she was happy with Son of the Pony again. And even then, Somnambula felt ready to settle down, and she actually moved to Ponyville, and she bought a small house just a little bit outside of center. And she started to work there in a local florist because she loved and even to take care of flowers. And even she helped at the Sugar Cube Corner with Pinky, and even somewhat of the local weather team with Rainbow Dash, and even what about the animal with Fluttershy. And she had been very busy, but even then, even she seems to be occupied with her works, with help of the friends, she always had the time with Violet Winds. And even then, they had the most perfect time together. But then she had to leave Ponyville just for some time with some of her old friends because they needed elsewhere to help to locate some ancient evil forces that have still been around for 1,000 years. But after that, they came home after the old forces has been defeated and once again been banished or destroyed. For most time they have been together. Violet Winds actually loved Somnambula so more than every day that passes. Even their relationship just gets stronger and stronger. And of course, like in many other couples, they had their fights as well. But Simpson only one time they has a very big fight. But then after that, they forgive each other and they just have remained strong and together. But their love for each other was so strong and so deep. They never had this passion for each other. And especially during the winters when Violet Winds was actually sick in the flu, Somnambula looked after him all the winter, well, most of the winter when he was still sick. And he was lucky that she stayed there and looked after him. And he knew that she was the right mare and also the true love of his life. He could never be more happy to have her as a girlfriend. For most time of his life, he could never be more happier to have her at his side. And even of course that most of the time they haven't spent so much time together, since she has to travel around with friends and that he has to spend time with his family back home in Manhattan, and even had his time with his student at his music school. And it takes time, but they always had time for each other, even it takes a little bit, even they can see each other for almost every day. For most time of their life, Violet Winds has never been more proud to have Somnambula as his girlfriend, and the most of that, he had never been so happy to have her, because one day he wanted to settle down with her and start a family, and even get married. They have been talking about marriage and starting a family, but they have been both talked and said they're not ready for that commitment yet. Even Somnambula is in her mid-20s, and even if has been 1,000 years older, but still she wants to start a family at some point, but not now. And even Violet Winds wanted to start a family even, but he said that he agrees with her because they're still young and has still the time to do it. But for most time of their life together, they always been there, no matter what happens. But they also then realize that something else happens. Because one day, Somnambula was gone. She was just disappeared. In fact, she had left Ponyville and left a note to Violet Winds. And she told him that he is just leaving. She was actually leaving for some of her other pillars to fight another villain has emerged. And it was actually that she never thought, she wrote that she didn't believe if she would ever return back home. She loves him more than anything in the entire question. And when Violet Winds read that, he was devastated. He could never believe that she just lived like that, but he realized she had to go because she is a hero. It took 4 days when she returned back home, and all she had was some bruises on her hoofs and also in the face, but rather than that, she was just perfect, fine. But then she realized that something else. She told Violet Winds that she was ready to be married and start a family. She realized that now because she had to fight villains all the time, and even then she felt ready to be married with her. And Violet said just to her that he didn't know if he was himself was ready for that commitment. And she took that very hard, so she decided she broke up with him. She stayed in Ponyville for that, but she just broke up with him. She didn't want to see him because of that. She was very heartbroken. And Violet Winds, he was devastated as well. He wanted to stay in Ponyville, but at the same time, he couldn't see. Every time he saw Somnambula, he felt his heart was broken over and over. So he told Twilight, only Twilight, I'm moving back to Manhattan. And she was surprised and even shocked to hear that he's moving back home. And she asked why. And he explained why. And she realized maybe it was best for him to move. Or need some time away from town. But he didn't know exactly if he moving as permanently, but he said, I is probably not moving, but I will go back to my hometown for some time to feel myself, you know. Yeah, I know, she said Violet. Please take care of yourself. I will, said Violet and moved. And then the next day, he was gone. Only 3 days later, Somnambula was wanted to talk to Violet, but then she heard that he had moved, or left town, moved back to Manhattan. And according to Twilight, she didn't know if he was coming back. And the reason why he moved, said Twilight. And she explained to Somnambula. And then Somnambula was very much heartbroken. She didn't realize that Violet was so much deeply in love with her even after they broke up. And that every time he saw her, it felt like his heart was broken in pieces over and over. And she felt so guilty what happened. But at the same time in Manhattan, Violet didn't feel so well lately. In fact, when he moved back home for a short time, he was attacked by a group of ponies. They wanted him his money and everything else. But since they didn't have any values, they just attacked him for not giving him any value. When Somnambula was told about this from Twilight, that he was nearly beaten to death, he was even stabbed at least almost 10 times this time. And he was really unconscious when they found him. And she was even allowed to see him because of this. She was very devastated that she believed that she was going to lose him. She even asked Twilight, Celestia, Luna, any pony who could help her. They tried to use the most advanced healing spells. All they could do was just healings on the bones. But some of the parts they couldn't heal. The only thing that they couldn't heal was his broken heart. And she realized that. And when she visited him in Manhattan, she explained that she is just sorry that she didn't mean all about this, but she said to him, invited to forgive her, and even proposed to her. And some time after that, Violet Winds had recovered from his injuries. It was a debate day for the wedding. And even Violet Winds was so nervous about this whole wedding. He felt so nervous, and he even told Terek and Discord that he felt so cold feet. And Discord also said, are you thinking about leaving her? You know how much trouble she did to you, how much she loves you. And even Terek said, are you really thinking about leaving her? And Discord is right. She loves you more than anything. Are you even consider to leave her? How can you even leave her when you love her so much? I would never leave Galaxy Star. Never. Same here. I would never leave Red Sparks. I love her even the entire life. I would even sacrifice all my life just to save her from any danger. I love her. And that you don't leave her as well, said Terek and Discord. And Violet realized they were right. So after this wedding, he was just happy to be married with Somnambula. And they actually went to Las Vegas for their honeymoon for like 3 weeks. And we just did the most perfect time for him. And after that, just 4 years after, Somnambula told Violet Winds that they were to be parents. And this time he was ready and prepared to be a father. But when she told him how many children will have, he fainted. Twice. She told him that she was pregnant with 8 children. And he was more than stunned about this. It shocked the life of him. And just after that, and they were all 8 daughters. And 5 years later, they actually had another 8 children. Violet Winds could never believe to have so many children, and even then, he was just happy, and also, gladly for them, their friends was there to help them, at any time they need help. And especially with Violet Winds and Somnambula to have found it true love and even got such a big family. They were just happy to be married. And that's how Violet Winds and Somnambula found their true love and got a very big family. The end.